Hi everyone, and welcome to the explanation of what 2022 is going to look like in Central Church. So usually at the beginning of the year we'd have a Sunday where we just kind of explain what the year's going to look like and talk about the things that we've got planned and the things that we feel like God is leading us into. But with COVID and are still coming out of this latest wave, we haven't really had a Sunday where we've all kind of like landed all together in one gathering. And so I thought I'd just do it on video, so then you can watch it at any time and just stay informed. And so this first little video is really about what all our gatherings are in Central, because if you have recently joined Central, or you've joined us in the last couple of years, or even if you've been around for a while, you'll have come to realize that we have a particular rhythm as a community across a month. It's a monthly rhythm. And so we have experimented over time with lots of different types of church. And in fact, the willingness to experiment and to have a go at things and to be the people of God differently is something that kind of like is part of our culture and part of our DNA as a community, that we're willing to just explore different ways of being church. And so we have this rhythm across the month, and we have all these different kinds of gatherings that look different and are different expressions of church. And I think that if you are coming into the community as a new person, or you're just sort of sitting around the edges of our community, it can be a little bit overwhelming and a bit daunting because it's not the same thing every week necessarily. And so I hope this video kind of helps make a little bit of sense about what it is, just to help you out. And so essentially we have a monthly rhythm where on the first Sunday of the month, we have a morning service at 9:30 a.m. It's a contemplative service. There's no singing, there's no sermon. It's a space where we do spiritual practice together, and we try out the different kinds of spiritual practices that are present in our faith tradition, or different things. Lectio Divina, the Examen, contemplative prayer, silent meditation. We use art. We use creativity, we've done journaling, we've done body prayer. I'm trying to think of all the different things we've done over time, lots of different things. And the idea is that, our spiritual lives, we should have a toolbox that's present to us to do the spiritual life. And there should be all kinds of things in our toolbox that we can pull out and use in order to connect with God. And so often many of us who are raised in the Protestant sort of traditions of church were just given sort of one tool, the quiet time. Go and have a quiet time and you'll be right. And many of us have found that we've needed more practices in order to sustain a really deep and abiding and thriving spiritual life. And so our morning service is where we practice those together. It's a gentle, quiet space. I love it. It's really great. It's not always easy. It's not always comfortable. Certainly if we're trying something new, and we enjoy laughing together if it doesn't work, or it's okay for there to be awkwardness in that service. There is kids church that happens alongside our morning service. And so that's on the first Sunday of the month. It's our morning contemplative service, and you're very welcome to check that out. Some people love it, other people don't. It doesn't matter. It's there, and you're very welcome to be at that. And then on the first Sunday of the month, the second Sunday of the month, and the third Sunday of the month, we always have an afternoon service. So that's our 4 p.m. service. It's more what you would expect from a standard church service if you're familiar with church, singing and sermon. So we worship together, we hear a sermon, and there's kids church for the kids. The kids often stay in the service with us for the singing, and then they go out. We have communion together. Our afternoon service is often chaotic. There's kids everywhere. We try to incorporate kids into the church. We don't want them to always be separated. We want to be the family of God together, and sometimes that means mess and chaos. But it's great. It's a really good service. And so we 3 Sundays of the month we have an afternoon service, and some people love that and are looking for that and come along to that. The third Sunday of the month in the morning, we have Wild Church. So again, Wild Church maybe a more contemplative expression of church. It's 9:30 in the morning. The location changes because what we wanted to do, we've tried to take church outside of the building and into nature. So many of us feel really connected to God when we're in nature. And so we're trying to practice being the people of God who gather together in nature, who use the rhythms of the seasons, and who just encounter God. I think that more and more where Christianity needs to become not just a set of beliefs, but a living and thriving encounter with God that sustains us in our spiritual lives. And so Wild Church was an experiment we started last year that aims to try to do that. It's great. I love it. If you come along, you'll experience a little bit of liturgy, a little bit of silence. You'll have some time to just wander off by yourself, to engage God, to be still and silent, to listen to God. There's content that we give you to reflect on, or you might just discover something in nature that really speaks to you. And we come back together and we just share together, have a time where we just kind of get to share with one or two other people what we feel like God was saying to us or leading us to that morning. And then we finish with communion. So if you come to Wild Church, you need to bring a chair or a picnic rug to sit on. You need to bring an empty cup because we always finish with communion. And so, you just need to bring an empty cup, which is a great metaphor for the spiritual life, that we come to God, just recognizing our own emptiness, that we need Him and that He fills us up. And so I love that part of Wild Church because everyone comes with their eclectic different cups, and it's just an image of how we're all very different, but we're all filled with the same Spirit of God. And kids, the kids get looked after at Wild Church. They even we try to do a little bit of Wild Church sort of stuff with the kids as well, to be empowering them to connect with God and to experience nature and to be present. But for Wild Church, because it's an uncontained space, an unbounded space, Kids Church for Wild Church is limited to school age kids, so 5 years and up are really welcome to go off with our Kids Church volunteers during Wild Church to play games and have fun and connect. But if you've got preschool kids or kids under school age, they need to stay with you. So they're so welcome. If you've got little kids, you're so welcome at Wild Church. Bring them along, bring snacks, bring crayons, bring colouring in, bring activities, and just let them sit with you. It doesn't matter if they make a bit of noise. Nature makes heaps of noise. On Sunday at Wild Church, the cockatoos were going crazy. So any small child would have been like a monk compared to the cockatoos and the noise that they were making. So please don't feel like if you've got little kids you can't come to Wild Church. You're so welcome, but you do just need to look after them because it's just too much for our Kids Church volunteers to have little kids who might run in an uncontained space. So that's Wild Church. It's a really good one. And then on the fourth Sunday of the month, we have house churches. So again, that was an experiment that we started a couple of years ago. There was some of us in church who were just really longing to experiment and experience church in a smaller space, around the table, in homes, to be more, just to be more vulnerable with people, to journey together, to get to know people better, and to just experience church in a different way. And so we experimented with house churches, and they've become a part of our rhythm. So on the fourth Sunday of the month, we've got house churches scattered across all Wollongong. Some are in the morning and some are in the afternoon. So there's different ones, and every house church has a bit of a different vibe based on, the people that are there and the diversity in each of the groups. And they're just a space to belong. We don't do a lot of small groups in our church, so in a way house churches kind of fill that gap of a small group, but they're not a Bible study. They're not designed to be a Bible study. They're designed to be more a place of relational connection, of growth together, praying for one another, just encountering the Bible together. So there are house churches on the fourth Sunday of the month, and there's no service in our building. If you show up on the fourth Sunday of the month to the building, you will be by yourself because we're all scattered over the place in house churches. And if you can join a house church at any time, you don't need to start at the beginning of the year. They are open and you are always welcome to join one. And then whenever there's a fifth Sunday of the month, because that just screws up our 4 weekly rhythm, we have a feast. And this is one of my favorite things. And so we just gather together. Sophie does like grazing platters, and we have sweet food, and we just sit around, stand around and talk and catch up. And to me, that feels like Central's like big family reunion, because through any given Sunday of the month, we're all scattered. Like we're in different forms of church. Some of us are in the morning, some of us in the afternoon, and house churches are scattered. But like that fifth Sunday of the month is like, yep, it's like family reunion. And so we gather together, we eat, and we tell stories. We talk about the things that are going on in lives. We just highlight different people, and we introduce different people to our community. Sometimes we farewell people from our community, and it's just this lovely space. And so usually there are 4 months of the year that have a fifth Sunday, and this year they were January. So January just gone, we did a big picnic. And then the next ones are May, July, and October. So when there's a fifth Sunday on those months, we'll be feasting together at the church. And so that's our like little rhythm as a community. And what we want to really encourage people to do, anyone who belongs to Central, we want to encourage you to craft a rhythm of belonging inside the rhythm of gatherings that we have as a church. And so you might just really love worship and sermons. And so you might just go, you know what, I just only want to go to the afternoon service. And so you go as often as you can in the afternoon, and maybe you're in a house church. And so that's your rhythm. And you connect with the other people who are in the afternoon service, and you build community there and in your house church. And so that's your rhythm. Other people just are really wanting to dive more into the contemplative style services. And so they come, you know, Sunday morning to the first Sunday of the month and to Wild Church. And then maybe they pop into the afternoon when they can, and they're in a house church. And so they're crafting a rhythm in our contemplative services. You know, I think COVID has really messed up all of our regular rhythms, and we're out of the habit of going regularly to church. And sometimes at different stages of life, we find it really hard to get to church on a regular basis. And that's okay. Like at Central, we want to be a space where you're so welcome to belong, and that you're connected, not just because you show up, but you're connected because you're in relationship and you're journeying with the community. And we recognize that showing up can sometimes be hard. Certainly if you're a shift worker, or if you've got, you know, all kinds of things going on in life, it can be hard to show up regularly. We still think that, you know, to be showing up regularly is the best way to belong, and you'll feel more connected if you do. But we want to encourage you to craft a rhythm. Find your feet in Central. Like, even if it's just committing to going to morning church and Wild Church, do that faithfully. Get to know other people who are in a similar rhythm to you, and build connection and community within our existing rhythm. So I know it can be a little bit strange and inaccessible if you're kind of new to Central. It's like, oh my goodness, what's on this week? But we tend to put regular emails out, monthly newsletters. We're always posting on social media what's happening that week. And if you're ever confused, you can just contact someone. But our hope is that hopefully we won't have another massive COVID interruption in 2022, and we'll all be able to find ourselves a little bit more grounded in the rhythm that we've created at Central. And so that's how we're gathering together. If you have any questions, or you just don't know what's going on, or you need more info about any of those services, do come and chat to me, because we really want to help you belong. We want to, if you want to belong with us at Central, we want to make that as smooth and wonderful as possible. But we do acknowledge that it's a little bit more tricky than just showing up at a standard service every week. So anyway, that's our little rhythm at Central.